Wait, go back. I'm looking at Kalshi's real-time board right now, and it has US recession in 2025 at 47%. That's a real signal, not just noise.
Sure, and directly below it, will Taylor Swift release a new studio album before September 30? That's not a signal, that's a pop culture Ouija board.
I mean, 61% feels low for Taylor. She's been dropping re-records like they're overdue library books. And the recession market is at least aggregating real economic anxiety.
It's aggregating vibes, Marty. The UI is so clean, it makes a panic attack look like a candlestick chart. It's a casino that gives you a yield curve instead of a slot machine.
But look at the bigger contracts. Fed cuts, GDP, unemployment. Those are actual hedging tools. A small business owner deciding whether to hire could use a 47% recession probability.
Bond yields already do that without a market on will the next James Bond be played by an American. The second you let pop culture in, you lose the thread. You're not hedging. You're doom scrolling with a brokerage account.
So where do you draw the line? Because Kalshi also has a market on will an AI-generated song hit #1 on Billboard before 2027? And I think that's absurd. But I still think event contracts can work.
The concept works if the event is tied to a risk people need to transfer. An album release is not a risk. It's a content calendar. You're financializing the right to say, I called it.
Okay, but the CFTC approved some of these. There's at least a regulatory backstop, unlike Polymarket or some offshore sports book.
Oh, great. The same CFTC that let FTX almost get a seat at the clearinghouse table? That's the moat?
That's not the same thing. You're conflating fraud with product design. One is a legal problem. The other is a taste problem.
I'm saying the taste problem is the fraud, just with better typography.
Here's my real concern. When these odds get quoted on CNBC, they become the news. A recession ticker isn't reflecting the economy, it's shaping how people act, which changes the economy. It's reflexivity.
So the market is finally reading its own mind, and it turns out it's just a feedback loop of people hedging their anxiety. I feel seen.
But that's true of all markets. The difference is prediction markets make the reflexivity legible in real time. That's not nothing.
It's legible like a slot machine's payout percentage. The transparency is the sedative.
You can recognize a rigged game and still play it, though.
That's not contradiction. That's living in America. If Kalshi had a market on will Rollo buy a Taylor Swift album market before this episode ends, I'd price it at 100%.
See? You're part of the liquidity.
I'm the exit liquidity for some Swiftie with a Robinhood account and a parasocial relationship. This is the future of finance.
I still think we're better off with the odds out in the open than in some dark pool of sportsbook whispers.
Sure, and I'd rather have the casino post the house edge, but let's not pretend the house edge is a public good.
Would you ban them?
I'd ban the ones with no risk transfer purpose. Then I'd ban the ones that do, because at scale, they're just leverage for people who already have money. So yes.
That's a very Rollo answer.
I'm consistent. The market is the problem, not the UI.
Wait, you'd ban Kalshi too? Even the will the government shut down by Friday contract? Because that's the part I don't get. That's just information with a bid-ask spread.
No, that's exactly what I'd ban. You're not aggregating information. You're turning every confirmation hearing into a derivatives market. It's a Fox News Chiron with margin calls.
But Kalshi is the democratizing version here. It's not some dark pool for hedge funds. It's a retail app. Minimum contract is like $1. You get nurses in Ohio buying contracts on egg prices. That's broad-based information aggregation.
Right, because when I want macroeconomic signal, I ask a nurse in Ohio with $3 and a phone. The wisdom of crowds assumes independent errors. Kalshi users are all reading the same Nate Silver model and the same Elon tweet. That's correlated noise with a UI.
The data says prediction markets beat polls and expert panels. Not always, but systematically. Having skin in the game forces people to reveal what they believe, not what they say at a dinner party.
Markets are just as irrational as people. A single tweet can swing an entire economy. We watch Tesla's market cap move billions on a Doge meme. You want that steering policy?
But the tweet is information too. If a policy change is announced, the market prices it immediately. That's better than waiting for the University of Michigan survey to tell us what consumers felt last month.
Prices it immediately means overreacts immediately. Flash crash, GameStop, Trump coin at a $15 billion market cap. All immediate, none wise.
That's crypto, not CFTC-regulated event contracts. Kalshi has actual oversight.
The CFTC allowed FTX to happen. And now the same agency regulating Kalshi is staffed by people who used to work at prediction markets. But even if the regulation were perfect, the ontology is wrong. You're making civic life a casino.
Civic life is already a casino. Elections are super PAC betting markets. Polls are free options. Kalshi just makes the odds public and lets regular people hedge. If you're a federal contractor worried about shutdown, you can buy a contract that pays out if it happens. That's literally risk transfer, which you said you'd allow.
The shutdown market doesn't just measure shutdown risk. It changes it. If enough people buy shutdown contracts, the price moves. Some staffer sees it, tells their boss, and now the shutdown is more likely because everyone thinks it's more likely. Reflexivity.
That's the feature. If the probability of shutdown spikes, Congress sees the market believes they're dysfunctional. Maybe they act to avoid it. It's a discipline mechanism.
Or they use it as cover. The market says 38% chance, so we had to cut food stamps. Markets don't discipline, they legitimate. You've got an unelected oracle making policy arguments.
The oracle is just aggregated citizen beliefs. That's democratic.
It's democratic the way a mob is democratic, and mobs can be bought. Whoever has more capital can move the market. A billionaire can buy 1 million no contracts on some climate bill, and the price moves. Then some reporter writes, "Markets doubt climate bill." It's self-fulfilling.
But that's already illegal, manipulation. CFTC can prosecute. And the market is deep enough that a single actor would just lose money to arbitrageurs.
Arbitrageurs who are also rich and also reading the same tweets. The whole thing is just a faster way to launder vibes into policy.
I'd rather have a theocracy of price than a priesthood of cable news. At least prices can be wrong and then you see the error. Pundits never mark to market.
Oh, they mark to market, just to add revenue. But that's a lateral move, not an upgrade. You're replacing bad vibes with leveraged bad vibes.
But Kalshi had Trump at 62% on election night before the networks called it. Real-time signal, not a 6-hour panel discussion.
It was 15 minutes before the networks, driven by people watching county returns. Congratulations, they front-ran the AP by a commercial break. And the same market had Trump losing in 2020 if you look at the wrong week. Retroactive precision.
So what's your alternative? Ban all prediction markets and go back to what exactly? Kramer screaming on CNBC?
I'd rather have Kramer screaming, because at least he's visibly a clown. The market just moves and everyone treats it as revealed truth. It's a theocracy of price with no priest to punch.
That's a very Rollo answer.
I'm consistent. The market is the problem, not the UI.
Okay, but if the market is the problem, why are you using the market to tell me the market is the problem?
Because it's the only language you data-brained liberals understand. Speaking of the market being the problem, I downloaded Kalshi this morning because I wanted to see if there was a contract on my will to live. There wasn't, but there is one on whether the Colorado River hits a Tier 3 shortage. You can buy shares in a water crisis.
So you open the app to prove a point, and instead proved it better than you planned.
I'm consistent. The market is the problem, not the UI. But the UI is green, frictionless, has a little bell that says Red Sea shipping disruptions. Get exposure. That's not investing. That's a horror movie with a deposit bonus.
Look, I'm not going to pretend it's wholesome, but Kalshi is a CFTC-regulated exchange. There are margin requirements, disclosure documents, market surveillance. It's not some offshore bucket shop.
Right. Regulated like a slaughterhouse is regulated. The guardrails just tell you where the blood drains. Event contracts have existed for decades. Fine. But now they're in the App Store next to Duolingo with streak bonuses for correctly predicting coups.
I don't love the retail framing, but the underlying instruments have legitimate hedging uses. Farmers have used weather derivatives forever. Energy companies hedge against price spikes. The difference is who gets access.
The access is the product. It's sports betting for people who think reading Axios makes them sophisticated. Same variable rewards, same near-miss psychology, same "this time I understand the news" illusion. Except the teams are actual famines and actual wars.
Okay, but that's exactly why you regulate instead of ban. If you push Kalshi out, it goes to Polymarket or unregulated crypto exchanges. We learned that with sports betting. Prohibition created offshore black markets.
So the solution is a legal CFTC-blessed casino where you can bet on hurricane landfall? That's not harm reduction. That's a state-run fentanyl vending machine with a terms of service agreement.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying the category exists, and we're better off with it inside a framework than in the shadows. Limit leverage, ban certain contracts, require labels that say this is gambling, not investing.
Labels. The cigarette warning label, but for apocalypse futures. Surgeon General's warning. This product increases your risk of becoming a guy who checks his phone at a wedding for hurricane updates.
That guy already exists. He's checking his Schwab app at dinner. At least Kalshi is more honest. The S&P 500 is also a casino, just with more acronyms and a passive index fund wrapper.
No, the S&P is a casino where the house is your 401k and the pit boss is Larry Fink. Kalshi is worse because it takes tail risk, the worst things that can happen, and makes them entertainment. It's disaster porn with a bid-ask spread.
But there's a real market function. A small business owner could hedge against tariffs or election outcomes. The problem isn't the contract, it's the distribution channel, the push notifications, the gamification.
Distribution? It's in the App Store next to Duolingo. It's designed to be a habit with daily login rewards for predicting climate disasters. It's like if BlackRock and DraftKings had a baby that reads foreign policy and then asks for your bank account.
So what's your fix, Rollo? Ban the app? Nationalize prediction markets? Or just sit there being furious while someone in Ohio bets on whether the Gaza ceasefire holds?
My fix is to stop pretending finance is the answer to every question. If you want to know whether a famine is coming, fund the famine early warning system. Don't let traders profit from the forecast. Wealth without work is either a lie or a horror movie, and Kalshi is both at once.
I agree with the last line. That's the pitch. But your solution is just, what, a planned economy where nobody can price risk? That's not a policy. That's a mood.
I don't need it to happen. I need people to see it for what it is. A machine that turns existential dread into engagement metrics. Same way we let sports betting turn fandom into a second job. The American dream didn't die. It got securitized and shoved into a pocket casino.
Maybe, but I still think event contracts can exist with real guardrails. Position limits, no push notifications, a separate retail exchange that isn't gamified. The CFTC can do this. They just won't.
They won't, because the people who own the platform used to write the rules. And since we're not getting a casino-free world, we'll just get the push notification. Drought in the Midwest. Contracts up 14%. Somebody will call it financial inclusion. Wealth without work. Or a horror movie. Maybe both.